Hello, Chris. Welcome
Hello.
to the show today. How are
I'm
you?
excited to be here. I am terrific. It is a beautiful Thursday here in Denver, Colorado. And where in the world are you today, Stephanie?
I am in Boston. I'm in Boston for the week.
Weston, yeah, for the whole
Yep.
week.
Yep.
We talked for 10 minutes maybe before with our guest today, and we talked about angry people that want to put homeless people in camps, and then we ended with a conversation about a witch's bar.
Yes.
You just want to give us a little bit of a tea, like just fill in the audience to what you just explained to us. What is a witch's bar?
Well, when I travel, I don't like to see all of the tourist attractions. Like I like to see all the nooks and crannies of a city. And I went out for dinner because my partner's here at a conference, and I went out for dinner by myself. And it was like a really great dinner, but there was nobody to talk to. And so I'm like, I want to go to a little cocktail bar and sit and talk to some people. And I was looking around at all of the available options. And a few blocks away, there was a witch's bar. And you literally had to go in like this dark alley and then open up this weird grate door that was totally unmarked. And then you go down another little like dark kind of alley, and then there's like this random door that you open. There's still no signs or anything. You go down these stairs into this like a lair. That's all I can like describe it as, but it was very like shishi, pitch black. Like you're not allowed to take pictures. You're not allowed to do like any light or anything. Totally pitch black. Like it's like a little speakeasy with 15 people or max that could fit in there, with these incredible cocktails, like just these wacky smoke and duck fat and trail mixed vodka and like all of this wacky stuff, like these like works of art basically. And it was so cool. Like my partner met me there and we went together, and it was just such a neat experience. But that's the kind of stuff that I love to do when I travel. I love to find these really weird sort of out of the way places. I think we're going to go tomorrow and do a tour of like the Salem witch trials.
Are you currently a witch? Have you now converted, and have you put mind control on me?
What do you
Stephanie,
mean,
you're a,
am I?
you're a genius host, Stephanie.
Yeah, this has been, I
You're
mean, I've
amazing.
been a witch for a long time, I think. That's what you called
I
me the
think
other
it's,
day.
I was going to say it's the other word.
Yeah. Do you, so
Sounds,
by going to a witch's bar, does that cancel out the witchiness that was already
yeah, I think so.
there?
I think
Hey,
so.
I've been eating out a lot here. And I learned something the other day. Because the food here is amazing. I learned something the other day. What do you call an angry carrot?
What do you call an angry carrot?
A steamed veggie.
That is so bad. It's good. You
I
fully
have,
circled around. Oh, that's
yeah.
really good.
So I
Yeah.
have another question, Chris. What
Yes.
triggers force the side hustle to small business decision? What causes us to move from a side hustle to a small business? There is a shocking stat out there that 67% of founders freeze at the commitment cliff. Probably all men. Small Business Trends 2024 told us that ConvertKit's Nathan Barry hit his cliff when his customers demanded enterprise features. Today on How to Founder, we're going to be talking about the commitment cliff, how to move from that side hustle to small business, and whether you should. I am your host, Stephanie Hayes. With me is my wonderful co host, Chris. And we are so excited to have a guest with us, Seth Goldstein. Seth is a former ink stain journalist who reinvented himself as a digital marketing strategist and host of the popular Entrepreneur's Enigma podcast. Drawing on newsroom storytelling chops, he spent 15 plus years helping startups and nonprofits amplify their brands through SEO, web design, and social media at his agency, Goldstein Media. Seth's show delivers candid conversations with founders navigating the highs and lows of business, while his speaking engagements demystify marketing for do it yourself owners. Equal parts tech geek, dad, and entrepreneur, Seth brings relatable lessons on resilience, content, and building community online. And that's the show.
There we go.
That's
I think you took the AI version of my.
the
I think Inkstein. When I hear Inkstein journalist, I realized that ChatGPT getting very colloquial with my when I said I burned out journalist. It said Inkstein journalist. I'm like, all right, we'll go with.
That's a nicer way to say burned out.
Oh yeah, I was definitely a burned out journalist after
It's
6
a
years.
nice way to say like old and bitter, like
Old and bitter. Yeah, old and bitter journalist. Exactly.
It's like Marge Simpson's sisters, right?
Oh yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Seth, let's dive in. So,
Yeah.
what are those specific triggers that make somebody move from the security of a side hustle into the whole small business, jump off the cliff? What pushes them over?
Well, there's a few actually. If you think about it, there's one you are sick and tired of your boss, and you want to just get out, and your significant other, if you're married or together, that lets you. Then there's ones where you literally get shown the door, and you don't have a choice. You're like, well, fine, screw this, I'm going to do it myself. And then there's finally the one where it's like the ConvertKit guy, you can't do it as a side hustle anymore. The demand is so great that you turn it into a business, that you got to take it out of the wings and make it the main thing. And then you make the whole, get a job thing on the side to support the main hustle. You get a side hustle of a job that pays the bills, because that's what you got to do for the first year. As you build it up, you kind of got to figure stuff out, pay the bills. I mean, we're not all Canadian where our healthcare is paid for. So that's a callback.
That's right.
Well, am I supposed to live in guilt for this or something? Because
no, you're just lucky. Well, you're just lucky.
So let's dive into that last one a little bit. So when do those customers?
Yeah, let's talk about. We're going to turn this show into a Canadian healthcare show.
Let's talk about the emotional damage that comes along with being. When do those customer demands? So they're looking for things like in the ConvertKit example, they want things, they need things. When do those actually become ultimatums?
When they overload your inbox and you can't handle it. Like you're sitting in your cubicle or in your office at work and you're answering your side hustle questions, and you can't not answer them all the time. And you realize, like, look, this is turning into a full-time job as a side hustle. And you're like, I gotta, bite the bullet and just dive in. I mean, the good thing about being an entrepreneur is that you can always go back to being. It's not you can't always go back, because after 17 years and being an entrepreneur, I don't think I'm hireable. But you can technically, after you leave for a year, you can probably go back to the corporate world and get back into it and make it a side hustle again if it didn't work out. But usually when demands get overwhelming to the point where you can't focus on your main job, it's time to make your side hustle the main job, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then there's always a point, and I know we're sort of experiencing this right now, and it's causing us to go through some serious decision making around what we do with our business, where the demands from the customer have now mean that we're going to have to make a major investment in our product development if we want to continue to build out and serve these customers. And so we don't really have the choice anymore.
It's scary but exciting at the same time.
Yeah, kind of. Chris, do you think everyone starts up a side hustle with the intention of it becoming their main thing?
No, I think that there's some very strange people out there that can do that. That can just be like, look, I'm going to do this for 10 hours a week and I'm going to make more money. And this is going to be my vacation fund. Mostly the people that are in our little group of humans are not those people. Yeah, we're doing that and we are calling it a side hustle because we're cowards. Because we don't want to go jump all in. We don't have that.
It's terrifying.
It is. It's a terrifying moment. But what we're saying there, is it's a side hustle. No, like we're trying to go create a company. We're trying to create something of value. And calling it a side hustle is fine. It's a risk mitigation strategy.
That's what
You
it
can go
is.
try several of these things and not be destitute and homeless and have to move to Canada to get healthcare. By the way, they don't want us, Seth. Yeah, they don't want us. I've tried. I've kind of been like, Stephanie, you need a roommate? And she's like, no,
No,
I don't.
You wanted
exactly.
me to marry you. That's really
Hey.
different.
No, we want to know. So Seth, this is our startup idea. It's
Tampons! Tampons! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
we were going to start a company where we did mail order same-sex brides in Canada because we just thought that would be like, you get healthcare. I thought it's $1 billion
I'm not sure we should
idea.
be telling anybody about our business ideas.
Yes, right
That's a good point. That's right.
Yeah.
That will be our side hustle, Stephanie. See, I brought it back around.
I love it. I love the thing about the side hustle that I find is that it's people are too chicken to say it's called a second job. That's what it is. It's a second job. You come home from
dominate all your mind space. It's going to dominate everybody in your mind space.
Exactly. A lot of times with a side hustle, when you go main hustle with it, you realize that like you need some time for your family, and you can't do side hustle and main hustle. You got to pick one.
So there's like the personal triggers, pressure from your family, or you making the realization that your life is being consumed. And there's the financial triggers, right?
Yeah.
And there's a point at which it almost feels like all the things you learned in your business strategy books in business school, like you're seeing the scenario and the model sort of play out where you're like, oh, this is that tipping point where, if we don't do these things, we are now risking growth, not moving forward. And also, now we've got this book of business and these customers that are expecting longevity. They're expecting support. They're expecting us to carry on. I think when you have a slightly different business model where, you're a service-based business owner, you're a consultant, you're whatever, a freelancer, you can kind of pull the plug whenever you want, right? But when you're building a product and you're scaling a business and you've hired people, and there's also the team dynamics, right? Like there's the pressure from the team. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like all these pressures, how do you manage them, and how do you know when the right decision is like step fully in?
Yeah, I don't even know how you could do a side hustle when you have a team. It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it can be done. I mean, anything can be done, but it's like when you have people that are like more than just your customers that are like depending on you, but you have employees or freelancers that are dependent on you. It's time to kind of say, all right, either we do it or we don't. In my opinion, it gets to the point where it's like, are we going to grow this? Are we going to hire people? Are we going to do freelancers? Are we going to get contractors involved? That's when you realize, all right, maybe I should give this still college try, see if it works. And then of course go back to Chandler and and Ross and say pivot. And there's nothing wrong with the pivot. And you can pivot
You
back
should get used to it in the early days for sure, right?
You can pivot back into being an employee if you're not in it for so long. You can pivot into a different aspect of what the journey is. I've pivoted a bunch of times in my business, from web design to digital marketing to SEO, and then sometimes adding things on, not pivoting, but adding things on. To most recently, about a year and a half ago, I did a slight pivot into podcast coaching with Podcast Mastery. I'm wearing the hat for those who are watching, where I'm coaching people from, based on my experience podcasting for 15 years. And so to my main hustle, where I'm my own entrepreneur, I have a side hustle to my main hustle. And I'm the boss of both, which is a very weird dichotomy, weird mind meld, because like they're both hustles. And there's no proverbial man I answer to. Well, there's a woman I answer to, my wife. She's like, no more hustles. No more hustles. Stop it. Stop with the hustles. So.
There's a real difference between pivoting and like making that decision when you're on your own versus, running a business with, a team of 5 or whatever it might be. So like, how do we make that transition? How do we make that transition easier, or how do we make that transition clear?
Sometimes you don't, and you can't. And it gets clear as you go. Like you jump in and it's all muddled, and you're like, all right, I gotta sit down, write this out on a piece of paper, pull out my remarkable tablet, write down stuff, and really kind of sit down for a few hours to kind of map it out. Other times you just gotta go. You just gotta go in there, figure it out, and then the clarity comes or hopefully the clarity comes as you build out the side hustle into a main hustle.
Here's the shift that I see in something that
Mhm.
you said, and Chris, I'd be super curious to hear, like with your experience, what you think of this. So everybody's kind of looking for the right answer, right? The decision that says, "Yep, this is the right time to go," and I can say without a doubt that it's going to be clear and it's going to be good, and I know, right? That we know that that never happens. But I think the difference there is either I'm going to say, I'm just going to hope this works
Mhm.
versus I am going to move into this with a very clear strategy and a very clear plan, and I am going to step forward and make it work. So
Yeah.
what's the like, Chris, I'd be curious your sort of focus on that because I know that you've been there, right?
Yeah. I mean, and the when I talk about this, just know that I did this completely ass backwards and wrong. Like, so,
Most
because
people do actually.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I started my first company the day my second son was born.
Oh, that's
I was going to
great.
paternity leave, and I went in and I said, I quit. Screw you. I'm going to do this other thing. And I've been
It's
planning it for a
insane.
while. Yeah, it was a stupid, stupid idea. I could have absolutely gotten paid. They didn't fire people. I could have gotten
Mhm.
paid at that for 8 months and just phone it in. But for me, the mental shift of saying this is what I did was
Mhm.
critically important. The framework that I've learned in since then is the opportunity cost concept. And opportunity cost is something we as entrepreneurs are really bad at actually doing opportunity costs. But if
Mm.
you look at it and say, what is it? What am I giving up? If I make this decision to go all in on a startup, what is it that I'm giving up on this side? And weigh the factors that you're losing and weigh the factors if you don't go try this thing. And for most of
Mhm.
us, that cliff decision comes from a feeling almost saying, I can't not do this. I need to try this at least one time in my life. I
Yeah.
have this thing that I need. It's call it, I was going to say, inferiority complex, bald person's complex, something that says that I have to prove something to the world,
Yeah.
whereby if I don't go try this, I'm not going to be a happy person in my career for the rest of it. Does that resonate?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to try it at least once, or you have regrets. Even if it's a side hustle, even if you don't want to do it as main hustle, but you want to start something up and try it. Start it as a side hustle or a second job in this case, and give it the old college try, because you won't regret trying, but you will regret not trying, in my opinion.
So opportunity cost, yes. If we are the problem with us, the wrench in that plan is
Mhm.
that as entrepreneurs, we are relentless optimists, right?
Oh God,
We
I am.
think that everything's like we can see the way that everything's going to just turn out. So I still come back to like, where's the realism that we can sort of rely on? And I'm like all in if I have a plan. Like even if I know my plan is maybe fiction or it's going to shift and change very significantly over the course of actually doing it, it's sort of my lifeboat, right? Like
Mhm.
it's the thing that helps me move forward. um and so like having some type of plan based on real data or something, that feels like the right stepping stone, because otherwise we're just going to be like, yes, everything's going to work out perfectly and we're going to have amazing, we do that, right?
You
Well,
start
so
with
this is
data.
another,
It's kind of key. Yeah,
but that's another thing that I start with and then I tend to ignore. But I mean, the advice
me
would
too.
be like, hey, if here are the metrics that I expect to see in my business. Here's if I spend, all my savings account, which I did. I used to have this thing called a savings account. It was
Oh,
so good
imagine
though.
that. Well, what's
Yeah, it
that?
was so good. I don't. It's just lovely.
Mysterious.
There was actually like more than $1,000 in there. It's like if I go through my savings account and I still don't have any income coming in, I should probably have a serious conversation with somebody that'd be like, "Hey, is this a good idea?" I didn't. I just blew right through that gate. Next one, where I'm starting to put stuff on credit cards. Should I put stuff on credit cards or I didn't.
I started my whole first
Just
business on a big credit line on an Amex. It's that because I started my business in 2008, during the financial crisis. No one was going to give me money, but they were going to give me a credit card with the hopes that I'd go into debt.
I started my first business a month before I gave birth to my first kid.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that was fun. So Keith
A month
had
before.
Keith had a great quote from David Bowie. If you feel safe in the area you're working in, you're not working in the right area. Always go a little further into the water than you're capable of being in. When you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting. Yeah, I don't know that my feet have touched the bottom in years.
Yeah.
Also, it's our first David Bowie quote on How to Founder. Thank you, Keith. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Wow,
Keith,
little Ziggy
Keith's one of my buddies. Yeah, Keith's one of my buddies. He's on my podcast network with me. So yeah.
Oh, amazing! That's awesome.
He's good people, and he's a Brit, so it kind of makes sense. He pulls out David Bowie.
Yeah, I totally. In fact, we were just talking about David Bowie yesterday. Weirdly enough,
Keith, call me. We'll talk about David Bowie. It'll be good. Ziggy Stardust there. It's terrific.
There you go.
So let's talk about another sort of wrench in the plans. Burnout, right?
Oh,
so
God,
we've got a
so
hustle,
real.
we've got a side hustle, we've got our job, trying to keep all the balls in the air. There is always going to be a period of time where you are like burning the candle at all ends. So how do we manage burnout? How do we manage, like, when does that become a factor?
You have to learn when to take a break. You have to learn that sometimes you just and that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur. You don't have to ask for permission, except from yourself. You can kind of just say, I want to go take a nap right now. Like, you might not be able to, it might not be the smartest thing to do at that moment, but if you need a nap, you're not going to get fired for taking a nap when you're an entrepreneur. So go take that nap. Go for that walk. Walk the dog. Hug the dog, for crying out loud. Do something with the cat. Whatever. Play with the kids for a little bit. Then go back to work. It's all about pacing yourself. I'm terrible at this, but it's like giving advice with taking your own advice. You never take your own advice, but like giving the advice of you need to take the break, go on vacation. Like, Stephanie, you're on vacation right now. It's fantastic. Oh, sort of ish. But that's the thing. That's a good point. Is that as entrepreneurs, it's always an ish when it comes to vacation, because you bring your laptop with you. You're doing a podcast on your vacation. I mean, it's like, there's never a full vacation, but you're able to go to that witch bar and have fun. You're able to take a break, and you kind of have to just mentally separate from the entrepreneurial journey that you might love, and that might be your hobby as well as your job. But when that's the case, you need to take the break.
So I think what we're touching on is balance, right? And balance.
There's the word.
Yeah. And I think that's not something that comes naturally to people who are, in this sort of hurried, rush to get something started. And I know, Chris, you and I have talked about this before and on other episodes too. Whether you're in like startup hustle phase or whether you're years into your business, taking care of all the different, you're still a human being, and taking care of all the aspects of you and your role in the business is good for the business, right? I know you've had several ventures going on at the same time. Like, what did you learn about managing that?
I mean, I think the first thing is what you said, Seth, is dead right, which is we don't have somebody to answer to, but also nobody's going to come and look you in the eye and say, dude, go take the rest of the afternoon off.
No,
and you have an
you're your own worst boss, though. That's the thing.
We're terrible at this. We are so bad at actually taking time for ourselves and refreshing, etc., because there's this constant noise of fear and failure it's behind you. It's chasing
it's real.
You. And so you absolutely can go take a nap, but we don't.
We don't, because there's always one more thing to think about. Oh, I need to go do this. I need to go do this. The dog's pees on the floor next to you because you didn't take it out fast enough. It's happened.
Right.
If you do this long enough, first of all, I just want to point out that you said I was right, Chris, and I'm going to.
I mean, I have written down as a sticky note, I'm sorry, Stephanie, you were right. Like, that's just what I have. It's just, I can
Always.
repeat it 3 or 4 times an episode. Yeah.
But I've never been in that place where, I mean, maybe this is just me masking all of my old trauma, but I don't feel like I've ever been in a place where I'm like, "Oh my god, I have to do all these things." And it's like, really stressful. I've always been in this place of like, "Man, everything I'm doing is so exciting. Like, I just wanna do all of it all at once." And that's where I get myself in trouble because,
Yeah.
like, at any given time, I've got 4 or 5 ventures going on. I'm starting up a private equity fund right now.
Oh, wow.
I have, like, my software business that I'm trying to sell right now. I am starting up another venture. Plus,
Because why not?
we're
Exactly.
doing all the consulting work and so on and so forth, right? And it's just I turn to each one of these things and I'm like, "I love you. I This is so fun," but you just can't with everything. And so I think when we're talking about making that transition from side hustle to small business,
Mhm.
I think the intentionality and the smart thing to do is look at, and recognize what your capacity is and how do you do this. Like, again, I come back to making yourself a plan and being like, okay, so here's what I can realistically do, here's what I anticipate is going to happen, and so this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to look forward and I'm going to say, like, I think the intentionality is missing from the narrative around side
Mhm.
hustles and small business. Like, we always think it's just kind of like a just react to whatever's going on and push, 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 go ahead.
That's not the way you'll burn out so
Yeah,
fast if you're reactionary. And I
yeah,
am a lot of times, and I do burn out, yeah.
yeah.
It's funny. It's like we're talking about these two things, which is, and it's because the three of us are kind of veteran founders, we've done this, which is
Yeah.
probably the early intention of the episode was to say, when do you turn your side hustle into an actual business where you have an, but all of us immediately gravitate to the fact that as founders, we always have side hustles and we love it. There's always something
There's
else
always
going
another
on other
idea.
than
Yeah.
it's right. And it comes up. And as a matter of fact, I don't know that that's necessarily bad to keep those creative juices going, Stephanie.
No,
But
it's
I
good.
also sometimes think that like they can pull your attention. And for me, they would often pull my focus away from running a disciplined, high functioning business.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
it's almost a muscle, right? Like, it's almost a muscle. I'm in this place now where I'm like, yeah, want to start something new up? Great. I know how to do this. I know how to do this and I know what I can commit to and what I can promise because I know, like, what pieces I have and what levers I can pull. I'll tell you when it does get difficult is, when your husband is diagnosed with cancer or your kid has mental health issues or your mother-in-law is terminal. Like, then you're just kind of like, where's my room? Where's my
Yeah.
room for the mental energy and the scheduling and the stuff that you're going to have to do? Those are all real experiences for me in the
Yeah.
last 6 to 12 months, right?
I
Ugh.
was going to
So
say, do you want to talk about the Holocaust next, Stephanie?
yeah,
Like, you
yeah, I
want to
want to
talk
talk about
about
world hunger
how
or
about global warming? Like, that's a really pretty light and
talk about
fun topic.
homelessness.
Yeah.
So, great quote from LinkedIn user 5793276. Burnout is what happens when you try to avoid being human for too long.
That's a
Right?
Yes.
terrific
And
quote.
this is such a key piece of, I know we wanted to talk strategy and finance and blah, 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 but this is such a key piece of the whole transition from side hustle to small business is, who am I as a human being? And what do I want my life to look like? We had an interview with somebody many moons ago, feels like forever ago. I've been enjoying my experience so much with these guys that it feels like it's just time is
Why?
passing.
Why did that sound sarcastic,
But
Stephanie?
one of the fellows we interviewed many moons ago, he's like, "You have to have a life plan.
Mhm.
Like, no matter what these different pieces are that come and go from your business, you have to have a life plan. So does this transition from side hustle to small business fit your life plan?" I think it's a really, really important piece of like remembering that you're a human, right? Yeah. Chris, what else? I mean, we're coming up on time here, but what's that sort of last thought that you've had around this whole like concept?
I think it's been a really interesting and fruitful conversation. I think that the question that I would pose to both of you is when do you quit the side hustle?
That's
And
such a good
so,
question.
Mm.
so we've talked about, okay, the side hustle is becoming the thing. and when to quit your day job to become the side hustle, but that's not very common.
Yeah.
And frankly, like I said, I think that that's a little bit of a story that we tell as founders. Like, I'm just going to start this side hustle and then it's going to become super big. And then I'm going to quit my day job and I'm going to be rich and happy, right?
Almost never happens.
It almost never happens. What about the other side? When do you quit?
When it doesn't happen.
But when do you know, when does it, how do you know it hasn't happened? I think that's the thing that keeps people stringing along. How do we know when it hasn't happened? Because the truth about any sort of entrepreneurial adventure is that we always think that we're going to land in a place, and we never do. Not because we're not being successful, but because the goalposts are always moving. That's real.
No plan ever works out. It's never going to work out. It's never.
No, like that's why we plan in like little agile sprints, right? Because anything beyond 3 months is just fiction. So, so what is that? I think that's what people are always looking for, is like, how do I know when this is just not working?
It's when it really strains your at-home relationships. It's when it strains your mental health. It's when it strains. I mean, if it's your side hustle and you're working for someone and that's more fruitful than your side hustle, and it's gonna make you lose that main hustle. You have to be real with yourself and say, look, I tried it. I need to kind of go out with a bang and say, all right, look, maybe another time I'll try another hustle, but I need to take a break.
But what if I just haven't been like following the right business model? Or what if I hired somebody and that took the pressure off, and then so like,
there's a lot of what ifs. Yeah. There's always a lot of what ifs. It's always, and you're never going to be able to know if you make the right choice necessarily until hindsight is always 2020.
I don't know. So I will push back on that. And I actually think coming back to this, before you go into it, figure out what success means to you. Like, what's going to make this side hustle feel successful? And that might be different for different people. It might be a financial thing. It might be a lifestyle thing. It might be so if I can keep coming back to that, and if I know that I'm totally out of alignment and I'm just not reaching those goals, either I need to shift how I'm working, or I need to acknowledge that this thing is not going to float, right? Because what I wanted is not possible with, what I'm doing, right? So like my advice to anybody who's starting a side hustle is spend the time first to figure out what success looks like to you. Chris?
I love that.
Yes.
I think you're right. I go back to one concept, which is, first of all, we say it's a side hustle because if it doesn't work, it's like, oh, well, I give myself an excuse. This is just a mental excuse that I can give myself. Oh, I didn't give enough time. I've got this other thing, etc. The reality is that every single founder, and I would argue really anybody that works in any field that creates value, is your time is the most important thing that you have control over.
Yeah.
And if this thing that you're doing as a side hustle is not going to end up creating value in the world, whether it be financial value, societal value, any of that, and it's just sputtering along, you gotta, forgive the crappy analogy, but you gotta go put the horse down, man. Go on, go ride a different horse. Like it's a lame horse. It's in pain. Like it doesn't need to. You can't continue trying to keep this thing alive because you're wasting your time, and your time is the most valuable thing you have.
And it's finite.
I want to acknowledge how useful donkeys are here, because
better analogy. Yeah.
It's a better analogy because maybe you stop riding a horse and you go look for a donkey instead.
Stephanie's always talking about asses. She's
no, you went there.
On that note, we're going to start the speed round. Okay, Seth, are you ready? This is very dramatic.
Yes.
Yeah. You get yourself emotionally prepared. So we're going to do 5 questions. Don't think too hard about these. Gut reaction. You ready?
Let's rock and roll.
Okay. Scale up or stay safe?
Scale up.
All right. Hire a team or stay solo?
Stay solo.
All right. Quit job or keep security?
Oh, quit job, hands down.
Take investment or bootstrap?
Bootstrap.
Pivot focus or maintain both?
Maintain both.
Pivot! Pivot! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
All
I
right.
love that. That's my every time I say pivot, I'm like, pivot. It's our generation now. That's what
I
it is.
hated Friends. I hated that show.
Oh, I love that
I
show.
just couldn't stand it. Okay, Chris.
You are so wrong.
Chris.
Yeah. I just want to acknowledge, but what do you need a horse to haul the dead horse? I think it's a fair question. It's a fair question.
Oh,
Chris, founder
Lordy.
fundamentals. What did you
All
take from
right.
the show today?
I think so. When you're first starting out, the side hustle can be a risk mitigation strategy. It can be a good way to weigh your options and see if this is something I want to do. When you decide to go, create a risk mitigation plan and strategy and have somebody you're accountable to. And this means have a board of directors, even if it's a friend, a family member, something where you can say, this is my risk gate. Don't let me pass it. Create a plan for balance and stick to it. And really, even though it's out of order, we started like, Stephanie, this is the life plan. You need to have something where, what do you want to see your life as? And so if you don't create a plan that says, I'm going to go for a walk at 3:00, you're not going to. There will be an infinite amount of work. You'll continue working. Give the idea a chance, but then if it's not there, quit, because you can always use that opportunity cost framework to help decide what is the best use of your time. Seth, great conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. So we have some deep dive resources to share with you. We'll put these in the show notes. Some of the reading you might want to do on this topic: The Dip by Seth Godin, awesome book. The One Thing by Gary Keller, that's also foundational. Side Hustle to Small Business, well, that's on the nose, by Chris Guillebeau. That's very practical. The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, also
great book.
Yeah, also super practical. Awesome conversation today. Seth, how can people find you? Where can they learn more about the work that you do?
Easiest way is to go to social.sethgoldstein.me, and literally all my links are there. Everything's there. So social.sethgoldstein.me. I made it easy for people. Otherwise, I was rambling off like half a dozen URLs. Like,
I know. I'm like, just find me on LinkedIn or go on my website, man.
Yeah, exactly. You can find me on LinkedIn, but you can go to social.sethgoldstein.me.
Yeah,
and find my LinkedIn, find my activity stuff, all that stuff. So
awesome.
I'm everywhere.
Chris, you want to close us up?
Yes, thank you again. Unbelievably good conversation. And as per usual, it kind of started one way and then it ended up, I think, being a little bit broader of a topic. Right. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Remember, go to howtofounder.com, rank us, follow us, whatever platform you like, a little Spotify, maybe a little YouTube. We have, at least I have a face made for podcasting, so maybe not video podcasting. We think you guys are awesome. We are so thrilled to help founders as they create value in our society. We say that you are the pioneers of economic prosperity, but the reality is that we just really appreciate the fact that we can be of service to what I believe is the most important people in humanity. Thank you again, Seth. Thank you, Stephanie, and we will see you next time.